Okay, now this is the scoop. I purchased the Too Faced 20th Anniversary palette on Sephora and waited patiently for it to come to my door. It came to the mailbox and I was so excited and enthralled. I got into my best jewels and I got this. Look at this masterpiece. Hi guys, it's Sweetie Pie and welcome back to my channel. I don't know, I'm in a weird mood today and I loved that intro. But yeah guys, today we're talking about the Too Faced 20th Anniversary palette. I have got some things to talk about when it comes to this palette. I've had it for 2 weeks. I actually took it on our camping trip, which was interesting. But yeah, I really want to talk to you guys about this, give you guys swatches, all that good stuff. On my Instagram, I did a ton of looks with this palette, and I also did this look today, so you'll be able to see how that worked out. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Do not forget to subscribe, comment, like this video, tell me your, thoughts about this palette. It's a big one. My forearm, like the size of my forearm. So yeah guys, subscribe, go in, check out my Instagram. It's always down in the description. And yeah, let's get on with it. So yeah guys, let's get into the first things I always do in a review, any review, palettes, foundation, all that kind of jazz, is I tell you a little bit of information. So we're gonna pull out the Handy Dandy notebook. And I just finished doing, here we go, just finished doing my CoverGirl palette review, so I will have that linked somewhere if it's up already. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that, and that's why I was on the wrong page. So I've got a ton of information about this palette, as well as I'm going to do swatches and whatnot. There were some pros and cons about this palette. I've seen a lot of reviews on Sephora about it, and I just I wanted to bring back and kind of look at this palette, look at the price of how much it was, and see was it really worth it to me, and tell you guys what I thought. So yeah, this palette was $69 Canadian, so it was about like 75 bucks with tax. It has 20 shades in it. They are pearl, matte, and glitter shades. This is limited edition, and apparently it's supposed to smell like birthday cake. I haven't smelled anything yet. Yeah, there's no smell in this palette, so I'm really Too Faced. God damn it. So it was supposed to smell like birthday cake. It doesn't smell like birthday cake at all. At least mine doesn't. There is 1 gram. Okay, I'm going to just show you here. So in every single circular pan, there is 1 gram of product. So that's 10 grams of product. And then there is 1.25 grams of product in the square pans. 2 of these are split pans though. So, one is a black and a silver. One is a black and a, what would you call that? Like a champagne shade. I don't like it when they do this in palettes, only because a lot of the time it is a very dark shade with a very light shade, and sometimes I just have a hard time getting my brush in there or my finger. So it's fine. The colors are really pretty in here, but let's get into that in a minute. This is a 12-month shelf life, which honestly I'm probably going to have this for like 4 years. The bulk was made in the USA, and it was assembled in the Dominican Republic. You can find it on Sephora and on, does Ulta have Too Faced? I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But you can also find it on toofaced.com. So let's go into the swatches of this palette, and then I want to discuss packaging. I want to discuss what I think of the actual shadows in this palette and my look. So yeah, let's get into those swatches. also Swatches. So this palette, I think that the packaging on this palette was really beautiful when I first opened it, but as I started to use this palette and have it in my everyday makeup, if you've seen one of my Shop My Stashes, I do them on Instagram TV now, or at least I try to. It's a very large palette, which I love. The palette, the size of the palette is not what bothers me. What bothers me is the lack of detail, for one, and the, you know, some of the qualities of the shadows. Oh, I feel like this is going to be a hard review. But yeah, so I'm going to dive right into this. When I went on Sephora.com, I was met with a lot of reviews for this as being not quite so favorable. There were a lot of reviews that were really awesome, but the reviews that I found that weren't so favorable were all complaining about the same things. And the things that they were complaining about were the packaging and the overall kind of like cheapness of it all. And I guess I always get suckered into these types of products because I'm always thinking the best of the brand. If this was my 20th anniversary launch, I would want it to be awesome. And I would have paid an extra $10 if you had fixed the formulas a little bit more, put a little bit more effort into it. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on with the cons, and then I will show you the look and, you know, discuss with you the pros. So the cons on this palette is, for one, the glitter will shed. And I'll show you like a really pretty, when it first came to me, I'll show you that like little clip. Is a beautiful palette, but as you start to use it, the glitter, it kind of sheds. Now, I'm not trying to qualm with this because honestly, this is like your own, if you're going to keep it safe type of thing, but this is very raised here, and it's their Too Faced logo, and I've already started to scratch it a little bit on the higher points. Not their fault particularly, but you know, it is what it is. Also, the sheer size of this palette is absolutely massive. It really is massive. And I love big palettes. I loved the Saint and Sinner, the Juvia's Place Magic palette. They don't make it in a large one. I love my little, like my large Magic palette. And when I first opened this, I literally was sitting there like at my table opening it, and I kept going to Matt. Oh, he was so annoyed. I was like, oh, oh, oh. It's just, it was really beautiful, and it still is. It's just the glitter does come off everywhere. Now, the mirror is really large, but honestly, I don't know. This is a pretty heavy palette to be using a mirror. Like, it's not like it stays up. It does have the magnetic closure, but if you see, it tends to move around, kind of. You see, like, it's not fully kind of stuck in there. I don't know. It feels odd. Anyways, then when you open it up, you know, standard packaging, but as you actually look at the pans themselves, there are quite a few pans where you can see right into the palette itself. And I'll give you a close-up of that right here. So yeah, as you can see, like, there are quite a few pans. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, there's like 4 that are majorly kind of shifted, like they didn't make the holes the right size. So there are my complaints. I think they also put glitter in way too many of these shades. I think they should have toned down on the glitter a little bit. Most of these shades need a glitter glue because you're going to end up getting fallout. That's just that's the down payment of it. The mattes in here are really well placed though. I will give them that. Their three mattes that they have in this palette are very, very well placed. Gretchen is your more warm toned, kind of will go with this half of the palette. So it's like you're just really warm, basic brown. Then you have I Can't Even, which basically comes off as a really dark with just a tiny bit of plum. And then Gigi is your, really plummy matte, kind of bordering on purple, which would go really well with the other side. Now, I will say that there are more colorful shades than there are, neutral ones, which I always love. But a couple of these shades do look very similar to it was a Christmas. You know what? I have those palettes sitting out and I'm looking at them and I'm just kind of like, ugh. I don't want to go hunting for any more. Anyways, I will though, maybe. I'll make an Instagram post about how I found every single color in my Too Faced collection. But yeah, guys. Anyway, let's go into the look for this palette and yeah, then I'll just do my final. Like the colors really do work well if you work with them, if you get them wet, if you I was even a couple times, and I think that's why sometimes, just like these palettes, I get some hard pan on some shades, just because obviously they're they've been used and I've probably put water on my brush and then got into that shade. But if you do get hard pan on something, just scrape it with a spoolie and you're good to go again. Anyways, final thought on this extremely expensive palette, because this was $69, so it was like closer to $80 than it was to $50. Anyways, I keep saying anyways because I feel like I like this palette. I feel like I've created some of the prettiest looks with this palette. And some of the shades even, like, oh, there were quite a few shades that I created really amazing looks with. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to throw in a few pictures right here of some of the looks that I created, and then I'll just put the shades that I used right at the bottom. So yeah, as you can see, I did create some really pretty looks for this palette. I just was kind of unsatisfied. I think that when I started to look around, I was kind of like bummed out that these shades are not original really in the Too Faced collection. And I thought, well, you know, it is a 20th anniversary. They took their 10, you know, shades they originally posted out, and then they blah 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 reinvented them. And I don't know. I don't know. I love the greens, and this one, Pixie Dust, is like a really light green, so it is really beautiful. And I think that this is totally workable. I don't love that it only has 3 mattes, but it's totally workable. They did both the cool and the warm spectrum there. And the shimmers, like the actual shimmers, I can put in my crease. This one in Rizzo and this one in Temper Temper. I've put those both in my crease before, and they're actually pretty, you know, like you can make them matte, or at least somewhat matte. And they blended pretty darn good. So I don't know. I feel bad because I just don't think that if you are a diehard Too Faced fan, or you have quite a few of their palettes, that you're going to need this one. I think that you could probably pass. Now, if you're new to Too Faced, or you really haven't bought a lot of their products before and you think this is beautiful, which it is, there were a few little nooks and crannies that I wasn't in love with, but I have noticed that in the makeup world, I realize you pay a lot for this stuff, but you know, if you're thinking about the earth, if there's nothing broken inside, and you know, there's just slight little errors, you can still put that those errors were made in the review for Sephora or wherever, but you might not take back the palette just because, you know, they gotta throw that out. But yeah, guys, anyway, I love you guys so much, and that is all I have to say about this palette. I don't think that if I knew what I know now, I would have purchased it, which I feel bad because there are so many things that I love from Too Faced. I just think that they didn't really hit the ball on these. There was a lot of glitter as well. Ugh, a lot of glitter. Anyway, guys, I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys subscribe to my channel if you're new, of course. And yeah, it's done. Bye.